So hi, I'm Max Thomas. I'm now going to level 2 hospitality and catering, well, this is a panel discussion, I guess, on the importance of community, especially at Borders College, and looking at the challenges we're going to face over the next couple of months with home learning. If Chris would like to introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Chris Weems. I'm the venue manager at Mac Arts in Galashiels in Bridge Street. I think I have to come clean straight away and admit I never went to college or uni. Although community is community, wherever, whether it's in the workplace or in public life or in education. So I hopefully got something useful to throw into the discussion. And I'll pass you on to Norrie Tate.
Hi, I'm Norrie Tate. I'm the Community Learning and Development Service Lead for Youth Learning. I'm also the lead for the Community Assistance Hubs that were formed during the start of the pandemic. And I did go to university, but I didn't go till I was 43 years old. I did my army service for 22 years, then went to uni afterwards and loved every minute. Can I introduce you to Lindsay, please?
Hi guys, I'm Lindsay from Youth Wellbeing Coaching CIC. I went to college and I went to uni and then I went back to college. So there's still options if you're not really sure what you want to do. College is a great place to find out who you are and be part of many different communities. And I'm still part of different communities and I love that. Youth Wellbeing Coaching CIC offers one-to-one coaching and group support. And we're also about to launch a pilot programme through the Serendipity Recovery Community Network. We're going to be working in partnership with them to offer pilot peer projects in 9 towns. We've got funding from the Cora Foundation for that, so it'll be 6-week blocks in 9 towns in the Borders for young people who are in recovery. And by recovery, I mean either mental health and or addiction. So I'm excited to be part of this conversation.
I think the first sort of thing to talk about would be, well, over the last couple of months being, I'd say 6 months now, we've been in isolation and a lot of college people at college won't have spoken and will to each other, and I guess the feeling of community might not be there as much as it would have been had we not gone into lockdown. And especially with new students. So I think something to think about and talk about would be how we can encourage a sense of community with students both at, because some students are going to be going to college, I believe, and but a lot of students will also be doing home learning. So it'd probably be worth thinking about how we can encourage a sense of community during this environment. So I was wondering if anyone had any input on that. Norrie?
What people need to remember is that the students are themselves a community of practice. Whatever department they're working in or whatever course they're doing in that, they are a community within that practice. So if they're doing health and social care, then that's that community of practice. And the idea of community is to be cohesive, supportive, and helpful to others. So if people can do that, help each other. If somebody's not so good with IT and somebody's better, then that person can help. And you can nowadays, because you can have dual conversations happening over Teams or whatever, that can happen, and that should be happening if somebody's struggling with particular issues around studying, for instance. I know a lot of young people will struggle with the, what's the word I'm looking for, with the enthusiasm to carry on long term with online learning. It's quite tough to get the motivation day to day because you're not meeting with your pals and all the rest of it. But have offline blathers, have chats, have sweary words going on. But just keep yourselves buoyed up and keep yourselves supported, keep everybody going and help everybody.
Yeah, I was just going to say as well that when we're having to do so much of this online, I think there's that real danger that through online communication, you lose a lot of what's actually people are trying to say. And for me, often, even last night, I was part of one of the Facebook groups I was on. I got a telling off from one of the admins for being condescending, and it was a total misinterpretation. If someone had typed, and you just, I think, being aware that everybody you're discussing things with is maybe not picking them up the same way, and being very careful that, if somebody picks up something you've said in a group or whatever, not jumping straight back in, and maybe thinking, no, there is another way to look at this. Has somebody picked me up wrong? Because some of these groups are fantastic things, and you're building new friendships and learning new skills and new interests through a group. But it's so much more difficult I find it so much more difficult communicating through social media than face to face. So the only thing I was saying specifically there was just thinking about other people when they're communicating, what they're actually trying to say. And sometimes there's more than one way to take something. And I think in that instance last night, I just immediately got back in and apologised and said it'd been a misunderstanding. Everybody's happy and it's good. But I think sometimes there's that temptation to jump in and say, how dare you speak to me like that? And then that's it. You've lost the friendship, you've lost the group. And yeah, so it takes more work doing all this through social media, definitely.
I just wanted to say, I think we should encourage the students to take the initiative and help shape their own community. So like Nori was saying, you're in a community within your class or within your section, like social care section. And if you notice there's something missing, I would encourage you to go and speak to Anne or Amy or the student advice service and see if there's something that you could maybe get added. Or if a few of you are struggling with a certain thing like IT, there might be somebody that you could get to come into class and help the rest of your community, because not everybody's as confident about doing that kind of thing. So if a few people in each little community could do that, then it helps everybody else in that community.
I'll also agree with Chris as well that when people type something or say something, I think it's dangerous just to assume what you think you've heard. Like if you ask somebody for clarity, if there's something you're a bit iffy about, can you just explain that to me a wee bit better? It's a nice supportive way rather than, what do you mean by that? Go and explain that to me. I've not quite got it. That's the sort of language you want to be hearing, and that helps everybody relax as well. Because it's going to be very difficult for folk at the start. I remember using Moodle at university. We did some work online, but we didn't need to. We tried it, and it wasn't quite as good because you haven't got that interaction face to face. But if you get used to it, I'm more used to it now because the last 5 months I've spent my whole life on Teams, talking to different people in different groups and different communities, and it really works well once you get used to it. And it is just keep trying. You can't be wrong. If you come out of it by mistake, so what? Just join back in again. But I would encourage people to use the note taking in the chat bit on the side as well.
Definitely. I agree with all the points made, especially with what you said, Nori, about within the groups, within sort of certain subjects. Because I feel like not only do you know people, not only are you studying the same subject, of course, but from a student's perspective, even before lockdown, where you take it into our own hands. When someone was off ill, someone was stuck on some homework, perhaps, and maybe the lecturers weren't contactable, or they just didn't want. They wanted the students' help. We would contact each other through social media and through groups and things like that. And I think for our subject, we're quite fortunate in most of the students were sort of I don't want to say young, but more sort of inclined to technology, and were really everyone found it easy to contact each other. But I feel like now it might be more of a challenge for groups that might be less inclined to technology, perhaps. So I think it might be worth thinking about how college can facilitate communication through students outside of outside of class, outside of home learning times?
Remembering some of the students may not have had access to tablets and stuff before. Remember that equalities bit as well, that some families can't afford them and don't have them or don't have internet access. So think about these poor folk that are going to come in with probably no idea how to work stuff, and they'll need a lot more support than others.
Yeah. Chris, you raised your hand?
Yeah, I know we're talking about technology just now, but we had a committee meeting in a park in Stow on a circle of benches, and it not only became a committee meeting where you had to get through a period of work, it was a social event as well. We all sat 2-3 metres apart. It was with jackets on, pretty chilly, but it was such a major step forward from months of sitting behind the computer. So probably, yes, very important to talk about doing all this stuff online, but actually there's so many opportunities to get out, and it's not in a pub and it's not in the cinema, and you can be perfectly safe, well distanced, and just have a chat with somebody outside. So if you're communicating with somebody online, how nice is it just to say, look, have you got half an hour, let's just meet and sit on the wall at the end of the road and have a face-to-face chat. I'm sure, because I'm in Stow, I don't see so many people I work with, but it is quite a big deal when you eventually get to meet people face to face, and you get quite a buzz out of it. So highly recommended sitting in the park having a meeting.
Just on that point, actually, I really like that idea. I think between students it might be a bit more difficult for students to meet up, and because students sometimes they don't drive, or they find transport difficult. For one, I know in our course we've got people spread out over about 4 or 5 different towns across the borders. But maybe I think if a teacher or a lecturer maybe went out of their way to meet up with, I don't know how it would work with, sort of, I don't know if it'd be allowed, a lecturer meeting a student, just like, in public, something like that, just to see them in person. Because I feel like not only would that, it would, of course, I guess, help a sense of community, a sense of, you're actually there in a community of people learning and working together. But I guess it would maybe, especially with new students, it would help them feel less anxious about being in college, and especially for when we go back to in college learning. So we've already spoken about how we can, encourage a sense of community, but here it is again. During home learning, we should think about how to encourage a sense of community at college. I'm wondering if anyone else has any points on that. Any ideas?
I think what we've done, we've got our formal groups. We've also got WhatsApp group at the back of that, so we can have those informal catch-ups and discussions and blethers and moans and groans, rather than have it done officially, which may be recorded in some way or another. So we do have the WhatsApp, and we have those groups behind us that we can just have a blether, and, as you say, Chris, meet up for a blether outside if it's possible. I think that's one of the things that college is looking at as the sort of next step, is that being able, we can already, we're allowed to meet pupils outside of school. We're allowed to do youth work outside of school as well, or outside. So there's no reason why some students, if they're very careful and socially distanced, etc., can't get together and have little workshops or little support sessions, whatever they might need.
I think on a social front as well, I'm sure there's opportunity to do things like watch Netflix, but have your chat open. So a group of people in various locations can be watching the same film, but everybody chatting about what they're watching on the screen at the side, same as we're doing just now, which is a way of bringing people together, but in different locations.
So why is community so important to college life? I'll let someone pick off from that.
I think it's the same as what I said earlier, that the college is a community in its own right, and it sits within the community of Galashiels. It sits in the community of Netherdale, so it's community, and within the college there's various communities. The community of practice that I talked about, and there's common themes, there's common outcomes in each of those groups, and I think for me it's about being supportive of each other. I think the lecturers have a lot to do with being in there and supporting students and being seen on these forums like this, speaking to people and supporting them rather than waiting for them to be contacted offline. They're there, they're sitting there at the side, hearing what's going on, supporting, feeding in ideas like Anne's doing just now. That's the way that it needs to happen. But the community, the whole community spirit thing, it's the teamwork. A community is a team. A rugby team's a community. A football team's a community. It's that how you work together to the same end. So if you're on a specific course, you support and work with the lecturer and the young people that you're working with, and older people as well that may be on the course. So you all work together because you're all aiming for the same thing at the end of the day, and that's to pass the course and to get a job, hopefully, at the end of it.
Yeah, I think you're totally right, Norrie. The community is there, whether you like it or not. The question is, how do you develop that community and make it a stronger community that everybody's going to benefit from? And even simple things like, say, a lecturer maybe once a week having a coffee break online where there's no learning involved, but you just know that at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, if you click on, you and your students that are working with you are all just having a cup of coffee and having a chat. Even if it's 20 minutes, it's a nice break and a chance to chat about just other things that are on the go.
I totally agree. How we do it with our kids that we work with, we usually do that first thing. Get all the nonsense away from what happened last night or what happened at the weekend. Talk about their football, their getting drunk or whatever they did at the weekend. Get all that out the way, get it talked about, have a laugh about it, and then you get down to the serious work. And that is that what's it called? What do we call it? Soft start. So you're starting off just having a blather about what you've been up to, about the football, about the rugby, or whatever else you've been up to that weekend or that night, and just getting that out of the way so that your head's almost clear to start learning then.
Just to add to your points there, I think I like the idea of sort of a coffee break with the lecturers, because I feel like the lecturers, especially at the start of our course, I mean, everyone became very close, but at the start of the course, it was mainly the lecturers going out of their way to communicate with students, not just during class time, but outside of class time, in and around college. I feel like that really helped sort of bring students closer. So I think especially on calls, maybe with when people haven't met each other, it'd be great for sort of communication and breaks and things like that. And on what Norrie said with before learning actually starts as well, maybe just to get all the nonsense out of the way. How can your organisations that you all represent, how can they help students feel like they belong?
So our organisation, we're a venue, but a multi-purpose venue in Galashiels. So as you would expect at this point in time, we're still waiting for information from the Scottish Government about how we can, or when we can, start live performances again. That may well rumble on for quite a long time yet. In theory, it's the 14th of this month, but I think that's highly unlikely. But at this point in time, we are allowed to have rehearsals and recording sessions and stuff like that. So we're beginning to get opened up again. But hopefully, once we get on the go again, there's opportunities for students to just come in and have a chat with us. If somebody'd like to get involved in what we do, there'll be volunteering opportunities. If somebody's even keen on putting on some sort of event themselves, we're totally open to that as well. And we'll work with any individual who wants to promote something they do, or if somebody's a budding music promoter or something, would far rather take that from within the local community and put something on than having people coming in from a big company coming in from outside and bringing a show to us. So I would say to any students, once they're in Galashiels, come and say hello to us, have a chat, have a coffee, look at what we do. We'll do everything from theatre to live music to spoken word to exhibitions. I think one of the small things we've got coming up in October, we've got the National Royal Photographic Society exhibition, which is something we can manage because we'll all have about 8 people in at a time. But hopefully once we get properly opened up, we'll be able to get back to put on some proper gigs and stuff, even if it's seated. At least be something for people to get out and take advantage of. And we may, hopefully, if we can get a little bit of funding put together for the kit, be able to do some live streams as well.
I just wanted to say that through the 6-week pilot we're going to be running, starting in Gala, we're going to be encouraging people to build their own network through peer mentoring, so that people can become volunteers through serendipity. And we're going to be discussing things like social prescribing and coping strategies and how to support yourself and others, that kind of thing. So by supporting people to become peer mentors, because when we're talking about community, I think it's important to be aware of that there's so many different skills and knowledge sets within the college, and not just the students but the staff as well. So it's to kind of utilise all of that and bring it together so that everybody can benefit in some way.
Yeah, just on that, so how are you in and around the college, or is there any specific way that students can contact you?
Yeah, so we are on Facebook, and we also have a website, youthwellbeingcoaching.com. So you can contact us through there, and we will be advertising our pilot shortly. We're just putting together a plan for that, and we'll be inviting other services along to talk about what they're offering, so that people can be aware of what's available.
Fantastic.
And help them.
I think that'd be really good, especially for students, if they have spare time or free time with peer mentoring, to take things into their own hands and come to you and get help with that. Nori, if you'd like to.
Yeah, there's a few things. We, as a service, were having a discussion this morning with Heather, and what we want to be doing with the college is supporting those that are a bit wobbly, thinking, oh, this is not for me, and sitting down with them and working out what might be suitable if they want to change course, or whether they're struggling with the online stuff. And we want to look with other partners at a network to support them, and obviously take them on through into the next stage, which could be employment or training or further training. We also want to, in a wee while, once things are settling down a bit, we have in the past taken quite a lot of work experience students on, mainly from the health side, working with younger people. But if you think about all the different jobs across the council, through us we can match people into various jobs for work experience and volunteering as well. We're always looking for volunteers to work with various groups of kids and older people with disabilities, helping adults with reading and writing, all that sort of stuff. So there's lots and lots of opportunities through us into the council for those that would want to do that. And again, work experience is a definite if people are interested, and we can manage that given what situation is just now, but we would definitely look at that.
No, I think that's a really important thing to think about, is sort of students obviously being at home, of course they'll be communicating with people through their devices, but I guess they'll feel more isolated. And last year, when we were just learning as normal, I knew of quite a few students who were a bit wobbly about what their life choices were and how that fit in with college and whether they should just leave and things like that. And I feel like that'd be a greater problem, not only because they might be lacking a sense of community, which is something people have to work on, but just learning from home might be a bit challenging. So that's something to think about, and I think that's it's a really good thing that to think about. Students who are on the fence about staying at college, because in most cases, it's probably a good idea to stay on. If you'll agree. Super.
The
Sorry,
other
go on.
thing is, it's maybe a good idea to have little study groups. So you've maybe just got 4 people in a group that can work together off and support each other.
Yeah.
Little study groups, that may be something that's already been thought of. But there's other people within the college that can support the well-being side of things as well is very important.
Of
And
course.
Lindsay and other members of the college staff that do that type of work and ourselves can really make a difference if we work together to support some of these young people.
Definitely, I think they'll need support, and that thing of study groups would probably fit in with peer mentors.
Yeah.
People working together, and sometimes they might need support, whether it be from college staff and lecturers, or from people like Lindsay. So we've been talking about challenges for students and over the next coming months with at-home learning and how to sort of build up a sense of community. We've been talking about, of course, what yourselves and your organisations offer and how that links in with how students are going to get on over the next couple of months, how they can seek help, how they can seek support, and we've also been talking about really just community, because that's what this is about. And I was wondering, final thoughts, if anyone would like to raise their hand.
Trying to keep me quiet, I tell you.
Pleasure.
A couple of things. I wouldn't mind joining some of the study groups or the wider learning and just being part of that. From my point of view, I left school when I was 13 and a half with nothing. Left school, joined the army at 15, still had nothing, and now I've got a master's degree, a postgraduate degree, and a degree. So learning is so important. No matter when you get to it, it is really, really important. And it's the learning. You don't have to be super duper qualified to learn, as long as you've got the motivation to get somewhere and grab what you want to do and really go for it. Don't let anybody put you off and say you can't do that, you're not clever enough. I don't believe that. I totally believe that if somebody wants to do something, they can do it. And I'm happy to come in and have a chat with some of the guys on the courses and whatever. I'm very happy to do that. And I can use some of my team as well to support students in other areas too.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nori. Chris?
Yeah, I think we have to acknowledge these are very difficult times for lots of people. I think if we're all respectful of other people and their views and thoughts, and we're, as Frank Turner says, be kind, it makes a huge difference to everybody. And the communities will grow if they're allowed to develop through exchanges between people. Communities will grow. They'll be totally different from the communities we had a year ago, but I've, my work's been particularly difficult. We've been totally shut for a long time, but there's now people I've met, experiences I've had through social media, which have been fantastic. So I think it's just about speaking to people, being kind, and just accepting that things are going to be different. Not trying to make things the same as we were a year ago, because it's not. We're in a different situation now.
Definitely, I'd agree with you. And Lindsay, have you got any final thoughts you can share with us?
Yeah, just from what I've got from this discussion is that community, to me anyway, is about opportunities and connections and support. So the community is there to support new and current students if they want to join and be part of the community, but also if they want to change the community, there are opportunities for that, and to add things to it and tweak them. But also if they don't want to be part of the larger community, or if they're a bit anxious about joining a new community after being in a lockdown for so long, then they can join it. They can make up their own little community and start a small one just within their own class or within the people they sit with at lunch. just if you've got one, you just need to have one thing in common. That could be like your pets or something, and just start a wee group and support each other, just so that you're not alone. Because college and uni is really just about what you make of it. So it's up to you what you want to do with it and make the most of it. Because you'll remember your college experience for the rest of your life. I love being at college.
I think it's not just one big community, it's lots of small communities, as Nori was saying earlier on, with different class groups. But as you said, with things, having things in common. And sometimes I mentioned, the college helping facilitate these discussions. It doesn't have to be like that. I remember when we first went into lockdown, I live in Hawick, and it wasn't the local council that set up the COVID-19 support group on Facebook. It was just grassroots roots people. And I think that's the thing. It's got to be grassroots at college, especially with people supporting each other, peer mentors, people helping each other. Sometimes they'll need help from organisations like yourselves. But I think it's grassroots really, and it's just people taking the initiative themselves. And I think that's what college is really, people taking initiative to go back a step further with further learning, and they need to do that inside their learning as well. Thank you for all being here, Nori, Lindsay, Chris. It's been a new experience for me trying out Teams, leading a panel discussion. It's been fun, first of many, I hope. No, thank you for all sharing your ideas. They've been fantastic. And so Chris is with Mac Arts, Lindsay is with, let's see here, it's youth wellbeing coaching, and just a second, and Nori's with the community learning, is it lead?
Community Learning and Development Service.
It's fantastic.
Community. Community
is everywhere.
Yes.
It's everything. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you for all being here. Thank you for watching, the people that are watching. I hope you take something from this and get in contact with Chris, Lindsay, or Nori if you feel the need to, or with the Student Association at Borders College. Thank you for watching.